What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Church Takes. We are back at y'all with another one. So basically, the JBP they put out episode 751. I believe it's called the pageantry. Um, so yeah, man, let's talk about it. So basically, this one was a regular episode, but it was put out on Patreon only. I wonder why. They opened it up talking about the word demure. This is the first time I've heard about it maybe about 3 to 4 times after I watched the initial episode or the beginning of the episode yesterday. But yeah, they started talking about that. I mean, I'm not even on TikTok, so I can understand why I didn't catch that one until I heard it on the show. But anyway, next take. Spending 15,000 plus for some sheets is shout out to Joe for having the pockets to spend 15K plus on some sheets. Um, yeah, man, that's fire. But again, I don't want to be a Joe Venger or anything like that, but it is what it is, man. This show is great. I can't express how much, basically, this is my favorite show on the air right now. And even though, um, you know, some of these are 3 hour plus pods, I have to clip it up sometimes to watch it because, you know, sitting there watching a 3 hour plus pod is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, shout out to them for the premium content that they are delivering nonetheless. Now, great way to open up the broadcast. Buster Rhymes, Baby If You Give It to Me was most definitely a slap. If you were there, you were there. Joe definitely psychoanalyzed Damani when he said that he couldn't get sleep. Basically, he was saying that that there's something that he hasn't dealt with, and it's weighing on his subconscious mind, and that's the reason why he can't go to sleep. I mean, he got all of that basically by Amani just saying that he couldn't go to sleep or he couldn't stay asleep. I mean, that was definitely a psychoanalysis right there. Next take. The third song he played, I haven't heard that song in ages. I mean, go to the Patreon if you guys want to hear it. Um, he then went into what it is, or what's up. I mean, that song right there, the beginning of that song with the bedrock in the beginning. I mean, you could just play that and you could get it popping if you know what I mean. Like that song was fire. So anyway, great way to open up the great DJ skip because I think one of the last episodes you didn't do it and I was like, come on, man, we need that. So shout out to y'all for doing that. Let's go into the next take. Ish never hearing the explicit version of that song, what it is, or what's up. That's surprising to me. I mean, that's just surprising. Like how have you never heard the explicit version of that song? Anyway, video vixens versus the porn stars. Something about that dynamic in the early 2000s is just funny to me. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't think that they'd be in competition with each other, but clearly I'm wrong. I mean, just the whole visual of, Melissa Ford going at it with like or not to say that there was beef, but she said that she alluded to the fact that that they were the ops in some way, shape, or form. So it's just funny, maybe Cherokee and Melissa Ford like having some type of beef. I don't know. It's just funny. Anyway, um, next take. Joe stays shooting at people, and he says he wants to change that narrative, but he'll always shoot at people. I really don't think he wants to change that narrative at all. He'll ask questions, and then as soon as you give him the answer, he'll say that you're wrong, and then he'll double down and stand on his square as to why you're wrong. So don't ever answer the questions that he asks because he's gonna double, especially about him. He's gonna double down and tell you that you're wrong. But where we at? Next take, just give me my money is hilarious. That whole skit, just give me my money. Uh, we can't get enough of that skit. Every time I see it, it's pretty funny. They caught They caught a bunch of people with it, but Amani pocket watching while Ice is moving. That's pretty funny. Like Ice pretty much stated that he had hired some movers, and then Imani goes like, "Oh, you're getting that chicken, getting that cheddar." So it was pretty funny just pocket watching while Ice is moving. Next take, where we at with this one? Imani is a funny dude, man. I could see him doing some stand up comedy. Not for nothing. Um, Now there was something that had came out and it was online, I believe, and somebody had made a comment and said that they don't like Imani on the JBP pod, the JBP. And I think Amani responded and said, "Me neither." So, does he like himself on the pod, or is this a narrative that he's pushing? Do you have to refer to the tag in the front? So it was just funny that that I had seen that one. Now, are men the new baddies? Now, listen, I don't necessarily like that narrative, but whatever. You know what I mean? I made the Maddie list. Number 5. So shout out to Summer. Shout out to Dory. Um, yeah, that was funny. Funny situation. Um, Next take. Why do women like to see men suffer? Mel said that she likes to see that kind of. That was yeah, that was I was like, I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave that where it's at. Moving on, why does it seem like when Mel is trying to get her point out, it feels as if like she's trying to make it back to shore, like she's panicking while she's like trying to swim back to shore. Like the analogy is like whenever she's trying to make her point, it seems as if she's panicking almost, trying to get the point across. And it's almost like she's just trying to get to trying to get her message out just so that she could get up out of there and then listen to what everybody else has to say. But I mean, she did stand on her square later on in this episode. We'll get into that, and I may have to make a whole nother video just about that particular quote unquote uh, beef, because it's being said that this is a decade long beef. But we'll get into that later on. Anyway, um, that meeting about people talking on the pod got people talking. That's for sure. I mean, whatever meeting they had, in regards to the amount of minutes that people are talking, and you got to get your time up and stuff like that. Yeah, people are talking now. So next take is the camera work that Erickson does, the production and the final edits on the show. It's awesome. A1 production. Anyone that's saying anything other than that, in my opinion, is cap. So shout out to Erickson, just the way that he's able to, capture all of the different facial expressions and certain points, and it gives it a very good visual. It's a very good visual to look at. So shout out to Erickson, man. Keep on doing what you do. Now, what is it about them speaking about open cases? I mean, in my opinion, the JBP has a huge influence on public perception. So, I mean, I would imagine, people are hitting him up just to, be able to push their particular narrative and give him offers under the table. I mean, it's just, I would imagine how many, narratives he have said no to unless it's near and dear to him, to his heart, in regards to who it is, and if he has a relationship with them in the whole 9 yards, then maybe he'll push whatever narrative that he wants to. But that just, speaks to the power of having your own broadcast and having your own way of getting your opinions. And I mean, at the end of the day, you get your own narratives out. So it is what it is. Let's go to the next take. Yeah, I didn't like that they was pointing out great whites for 15 minutes. How about pointing out the great blacks? We'll leave that there. The more and more I critique these pods, especially the JBP, the more I realize that this show is levels, and I mean levels above other pods. The dialogue is great, and again, the aesthetic of just how, it's a nice scenery, it's great production, great sound. It's just a complete uh, experience when you're watching the pod. So shout out to y'all. Um, the more success you have, the more people are going to hate. So if your haters are growing, then that also means that your success is growing as well. Next take. Again, Erickson's cuts and the timing of it is hilarious. It got to be hard work. I wonder how long it takes for him to do the final cut. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in knowing how long it actually takes for him to go from the beginning to the end of what we see. That would be interesting to know, whether it be like 4 hours, 3 hours, five, Anyway, next take. Wait, where did Joe go? I haven't heard or seen him in a few. So they were given the Great White take, and as I was writing that particular take, he he just popped up on the screen. But it was about 15 to 20 minutes where they were just going in, and I it seemed like he had left almost. He had got up and walked away, but maybe he was sitting on the couch. We don't know, but they didn't show him for like 15 to 20 minutes. But I think he said it. Joe is getting tired of the whole pocket watching thing from Ice. Like he was saying, how he'll send him some things that he had just purchased, and instead of Ice talking to him about the product and how dope it was, like the product, Ice will go straight to the price of the product and point that out versus the actual product himself. And he's like, "Yo, if you're my friend, yo, we should be talking about the how ill that was as a product instead of talking about how much it was." So that's something to keep an eye out. But again, refer to the tag. It's all content, it's all entertainment. Let's go into the next take. Joe telling Ish she's going to fire him was fire. That was awesome. Joe said, yeah. So some things you gotta pause, and then some things you don't. Like this one was a crazy pause, and I think Amani was the only one that caught it. But Joe said, "I don't have a friend that does me like you" to Ish. I was like, "What? Pause? Like, what are you talking about?" Anyway, but I think again, Amani was the only one that like y'all can't just let him get that off, fam. That was wild. Anyway, Joe saying that Mel looked like crap in the beginning of the summer was hilarious. I wanted to, he needs to expound on that. Like, what does he mean by that? But then he's just going to reiterate the statement. So, but that was funny. They spoke about the Tyler the Creator interview. I have to go watch that. They said it was about a good 30-minute watch. Um, Basically, this was something that had happened in the previous Patreon, but Amani said that he had sent a DM to the MJ lawyer for a cease and desist for a clip that was going on, a MJ clip. Um, they had refurbished, or basically they had redid the "Man in the Mirror" song with Michael Jackson, and it was a big girl. Um, I think she's from the South. I'm not too familiar with her name, but he said that he sent. I'm pretty sure y'all have seen it. If you haven't seen it, it was pretty funny. But he said that he sent a cease and desist order to the MJ lawyer for them to take that clip down because he didn't like it. Like that I understand that that's a narrative and he probably didn't do it, but that was funny as I don't know what to me. Um, Mike Rubin making Meek Mill bunny hop is kind of crazy. I'll leave that there. And I did get what Ice was saying during that particular segment. Um, I feel like Mel speaks from a place of a lot of therapy, but also a lot of trauma. That's why she wears and stands on those Rockports. Ish, Ish light skinned ass needs to stop projecting his racial complex. His decisions, talk points, and points of laughter for him is probably like 50% plus of his content on the show. But, that's quote unquote Uncle Ish, so not too much on him. But I mean, you could just you could just see it because I think it might be more than 50%. Whether it be the racial complex or the financial complex, it always goes back to money, or it's always again the points of laughter when it comes down to Ish. It's always on something particularly racial. Well, not all the time, but most of the time. But again, not too much on Uncle Ish, man. That's my dude. Um, well, I don't know, cause he's gonna be like, I don't know you. We don't. I like him on the show. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, he doubles down on the crab in a barrel analogy, which kind of is what I was saying before. I just feel like he needs to start having a little bit more fun on the show versus being offended by some of the conversations, or not being offended, but just have a little bit more fun. Like stop being so damn serious. Chill out. I'm glad Ice walked him off the ledge. Ice definitely seen him on the ledge and walked him right off of it. So shout out to Ice. Amani wanting to know about the party is hilarious. The Mike Rubin parties. I mean, there's something just funny that I'm telling you, man, he's a funny dude. Amani is a funny guy. Um, Joe wearing denim jeans for the second or the one and a half times is hilarious. He was like, these are not really denim, but they're kind of denim. So, I mean, now he has a jean drawer and the whole nine. I mean, that whole narrative is hilarious. Like, who doesn't wear jeans? But I mean, when you on your fashion tip like that, then I guess it is what it is. Next take. Not saying something can be a lie is true. That's something that Amani said. He was like, not saying anything can be the lie in itself. And I was like, that's true, but it sounds crazy to hear that. Like, if you're not saying anything, that can be the lie itself. I mean, if you're not saying anything, then how can it be a lie? But it's kind of true. But anyway, it just sounds crazy to hear it. It was a true statement, but when you actually when you say it, it just sounds bugged out. Anyway, next take. Ish breaking some cheeks off and breaking the bed in Joe's house and him not really acknowledging it was hilarious. Uh, Joe just kind of ran right by that one. He was kind of. I mean, he was like, "Did you replace it?" And Ish was like, no. So they just kind of ran past that one. Joe hating on Mel's care packages was hilarious. I think Joe wants some care packages. Um, you look like you got a case against somebody to Mel. That was hilarious because listen, Joe doesn't say anything by accident, in my opinion, on especially on the pod. Everything that comes out of that gentleman's mouth is on purpose. So that's just my opinion. That was funny. Yeah, getting in the elevator with rowdy people, I'm screaming on them and I'm pressing the next button to get off. So, like for example, I live in New York, and if people I've gotten on elevators where people start playing corners and all of that, nah, we not having none of that, and I'm getting off because getting stuck in the elevator is not cool. And it's happened plenty of times. And it's I'm not nah. We're not doing none of that. So you're not about to catch me sitting there with the odd future Joe face. Nah, I'm not doing that in no elevator. I don't play with nobody's elevators like that. So anyway, um the Hindus jumping Joe and Ish laughing while Joe didn't think that that was funny. That was hilarious. Joe noticed that everyone was laughing and then played the music. That was a great way to take back control of the situation. Shows his experience as an A mic. Um, then he went into a joke saying I'm elusive on the ground when they was talking about the Hindus jumping him, and he was basically saying like I'm elusive on the ground, like you wasn't getting not too much off on me when he was on the ground. That was funny. Uh, Joe asking maybe I should apologize to Tyler the creator was hilarious because as soon as the cast agreed that he should, he screamed for what? Which goes back to my point earlier when he says maybe I like he'll ask a question and then he'll get the answer and then he'll be like, nah, y'all wrong. Nope. He'll stand on a square. That it exactly my point from earlier. Anyway, Tyler the creator being looked at as a vet makes me feel kind of old right now. Um, that's crazy because I do remember when him and Odd Future were, but you know, when they were coming out and all of that. I think he'll be considered like the next Andre 3000 in a sense, just of that weird kind of respected lyricist that has numbers, that has the respect. You know, they came out with a group and then they kind of done their own thing and just, you know, you can't do nothing but respect it at the end of the day. I think he's going to end up in that kind of company. I mean, not the same company of Andre 3000, but for this generation is what I'm saying. Um, they were talking about this guy Ian who raps. He's a white dude, but he raps like Gucci and Future. I had no idea who he was as well, but again, I don't really be on TikTok, so it is what it is. Rap music and urban culture definitely change people's lives, for the better or for worse, depending on who you are. Um, Talking about that, I mean, I want the JBP to cover the JP story. That dude is funny as hell, and I feel like they would benefit in covering a young story like his. That was crazy. But again, I just feel like Joe doesn't touch anything that Adam touches, and so maybe that might be out of the play. But Corey's background laugh when Joe said Mel looked like crap was hilarious because again, Corey's laughs, they definitely have power and they definitely steer conversations and sentiment and just how people look at things on the pod because you know the dynamics of the show, the demographics of the viewers. Um Again, Joe's Odd Future elevator story was hilarious. I kind of went back into it because I was clipping this up in regards to watching the show. Um, yeah, so this is one take. I feel like Amani is their backup Flip, and you know he has comedic value bringing up songs, but Flip has more of a social media presence. Um, you know, Amani is talented in a lot of different ways, so I feel like you know maybe he should be used not as a backup Flip role, but just be, you know, may allow him to be used in his best way. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of feel like, you know, sometimes they'll do the backup Flip role and it doesn't suit Amani well. He should just be himself and have him, you know, kick it on that couch right there on the side where sometimes you know he's in the pick and then sometimes he's not. That's Amani's play on the pod, not sitting in the flip chair. But again, it is what it is. It's just my opinion. Moving on. Oh, here we go. What do you guys think? Did Flip miss the pod because he stream sniped Kai Sanat and made the JBP brand look bad? Is that why he was missing today? Just a question. Y'all let me know what y'all think on that. Um, because again, you know, not only are you a representative of yourself, but if you're on the pretty much the biggest pod, um, or one of the biggest urban pods, you're a representative of that brand as well. So maybe that stream snipe was Joe had to sit him down for a second because you wilding out here, you making everybody look crazy. Anyway, um, I rock with what Tyler was saying. In regards to everybody sounding the same as far as the artists and stuff like that. Um, and you know how back in the day, there was a lot more diverse, if you will. Shout out to Ish for being diverse. For that being the anyway. Joe saying you can't spell Manny without the man. That's him just being witty. Like for example, I feel like Joe can most definitely do a Larry David kind of curb your enthusiasm kind of improv skit or like long content. Like I think Parks would be a hit on that show. Mel would have a lot of great takes on like an improv kind of, you know, curb your enthusiasm kind of comedic kind of content. That would be interesting to see if they were to want to do something like that. I mean, they have the I mean, they're kind of already doing something like that with the pod. So, yeah, maybe I'm looking at it. Anyways, but just to see them out and about in the city, maybe that's kind of what I'm pointing at. That would be dope. They started to say something about AI. AI getting into music is kind of scary, but we're already here, so it is what it is. Joe saying F Twitter, or not F Twitter. Joe saying Twitter is over is great because I mean, he was just on a space today, had over 1,200 people in the space. There's a space right now going on talking about the pod. So, I mean, it's and shout out to everybody that's involved in growing the community and helping the community grow. Mel co-signing saying F Twitter. That's who said F Twitter. Mel, yeah, she said F Twitter. That was hilarious. And then Amani co-signing it. Um, Especially on the night of that recording, he was on the spaces. I mean, that was diabolical, just Amani co-signing that Twitter was over. But then I started to think maybe they're not saying that the spaces is over. Maybe they're saying like the algorithm of what they see on Twitter, that just might be over. So, just refer to the tag in the front, as they say. Yeah, so again, this was the point where I had to clip it. I had to clip the pod. I had to handle my business. Like again, I was having a hard time getting through the entire episode. I think I fell asleep or something like that. Um, then when I turned it back on, the Kamala clip, that was too funny. Him saying I'm not going to bring something up, but bringing it up in the same sentence. I mean, that's funny because if you say I'm not going to bring this particular thing up, that's actually bringing it up. But anyway, that was just funny. Refer to go ahead and go get the Patreon if you guys can. Um, Next take, yeah, man. Why Joe brought up they brought up the conversation, the CTE conversation between Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, A Brown and Le'Veon Bell. That was nasty work, man. Anyway, that was crazy. But asking Mel, uh, would she propose is great, and I'm glad that she stood on her square and said no. A light dog pile, Flip ain't here was hilarious. Um, they were saying that they was just gonna dogpile a little bit, but it's gonna be light because Flip ain't here, so that was pretty funny. The Mel ISO was hilarious. I mean, who do you guys think she was talking about? Because I mean, the in shape comment was most definitely a jab. Basically, I mean, she was saying that I'm in shape, so basically, yeah, and she was talking about how the couch has shaped her bottom to its natural form, and she's there to stay, and she ain't going nowhere, and y'all could be mad, whoever you guys are. Who do y'all think she was talking about? I mean, everybody is has a name on who she's talking about, but let me know in the comments who y'all think she's talking about, because this is kind of crazy. They're saying that this beef has been going on for over a decade now. So anyway, we'll do another video about that one. The Conway's outfit are always was always the worst. I remember when my mom, she came home with a Conway's bag and she was trying to get me to wear it, and I was like, "Yeah, ma, we not wearing no Conway's stuff." And then soon after that, I got a job because yeah, no, we wasn't doing that. Talking about jobs, they had brought up the Marbury shoes, and there was a store called Stephen Barry's in Manhattan Mall on 34th Street. I used to work at that store. Everything in that store was $7.98. The shirts, the sweaters, the jeans, shorts, the hats. And then they had the sneakers, the Stephon Marbury, the Starberries, I think they called it, $7.98. It was crazy. Everything in that store, $7.98. But the except the sneakers was like $25. But that was the only thing that was different. That was the Starberries. They might have been cheaper than that. Anyways, the blackout was crazy. I remember the New York blackout. I mean, I had to walk up 14 flights steps trying to get to my house, trying to get back to my apartment. I was at the corner store when it actually happened, getting a quarter water, and it was one of those poppy bodegas where they got the Aventura music playing and whatnot. So where the quarter waters is at, the light switch was right there. So as soon as I go to get the quarter water, the whole grid just turned off. So Poppy's over there thinking that I turned the lights off for the store. So he's over there like, Poppy, turn the lights back on, turn the lights. I'm like, yo, fam, I didn't touch nothing. I just grabbed the water. So he comes back and then he's trying to flick the switch. I see it's right behind the quarter waters. So I am at him, but that was just a crazy day, man. There was a crazy accident on across Bronx. I think a car had flipped over that night. It was a lot going on that day, man. That was a crazy day. The Mommy No Light story was hilarious by Mel. Shout out to her for giving a good story. She was talking about how she was in a taxi, and when the grid went down, the cab driver was saying, "Mommy, no lie," and had no like she couldn't understand what he was saying, and basically it was just a funny story where she had gotten into Midtown, and the guy was trying to tell her the whole time, like, yo, you probably don't want to go into Midtown right now. So she was out there. But anyway, um going on from this one, using his phone to bring up points. Look at Joe's face every time he does it. Just I'm gonna leave that there. Amani Like and Puff's album was hilarious because I said it hit different, no pun intended. That was that was dark, but it was kind of funny. Um yeah, again, just if you can't get the Patreon, if you don't have it, because it's good stuff. Kanye flexing with his new girl. He's definitely flexing with his new girl or his wife. He's definitely flexing. I like the fact that Kaepernick may be getting a job as a coach. That's pretty cool. But the fact that the NFL is like an entertainment company now, I mean, it just doesn't sit well with me. Like, I don't know if the games are true or anything like that. But anyway, um, the sleeper segment started, and Joe played a song called Muse. I don't really know the name of the artist, so I'm not even gonna try to botch the name. But it was a song called Muse, Muse. And after the song was done, Ish said to Joe, like, man, that was one of the best songs you played in a long time. Now, even though it was a compliment, that was also kind of shade because he was basically saying, man, what you have been playing has been kind of mid. So that was a shout out to you for playing something that was actually pretty good. Everybody was like, oh. And Joe kind of shot back at him at later on. But Ice played a song called by Big X the Plug. It was a song called The Largest. Everyone kind of liked the song. Parks played a song, played an artist called Jordan. It was a song named Trying to Play Me. Ish played Lumi Trice featuring India Shawn. It was a song called PDA, San Diego. M. Ford played Gabrielle B., a song called Deeper. Amani played Justel, a song called Demonstrate. And then they started singing um, the Friends song. And I don't know the words to the Friends like intro song, so I was just like, oh, I was surprised at all of the people that actually knew the words. It was like Amani and Mel for the most part, and then some of them kind of knew all the words, but it was just interesting to know who knows all of the Friends words. But anyway, shout out to the sponsor Manhattan Gray. Man, this was a long one. I had did this before and I had something playing in the background, so I had to do this one again. So this was a double take, and I spent 30 some odd minutes doing it before, but you do what you got to do. But before we get out of here again, let's give a special shout out to the sponsor, Manhattan Gray. Go ahead and go over to manhattangray.com and go get yourself a nice hair care package. You'll get 20% off by clicking the link in the description. You can keep your hair healthy, happy, moisturized, and hydrated. Every time I use the product, people tell me that I look healthy. So, keeping a healthy head of hair on top of your head is pretty important. So, go ahead and go check it out. Support a black owned business. It would be greatly appreciated. Before we get out of here, just do me a favor, comment, like, subscribe. And remember that the best takes of the church takes. And thank you for listening. We out.